Hello, I'm Trevor, and I work in the Youth Services Department here at Mesa County Libraries, and I'm so happy to be able to interview a woman from our community who was born in Saudi Arabia. Hello, Danya.
Hi, Trevor. Nice to be here.
And it's okay if I call you Danya Aletebi.
That's perfect.
All right, great. So tell us about where you were born and raised and what your childhood was like there.
So my father is full Saudi and my mother is American. I was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which is the capital, and lived there until I was about 5 or 6, and would go back every summer and live with my dad for many, many years. So there was still a connection to Saudi even after we left.
Okay.
It's a huge part of my life. I mean, I have 5 other siblings still there. But yeah, we moved to the States in the 90s. Yeah.
So let's see on the map, or on the globe rather, in case maybe some kids are watching and don't know where Saudi Arabia is. So here's where we are, and would you show us where you were born?
This is where we are, somewhere. And that is where I was born. And I remember it because it looks like a boot or a funny sock.
I was thinking of it, it kind of looks like it's sitting on Africa's shoulder.
Oh, yeah, like a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Let's just talk about Saudi Arabia in general. It has such a rich and really old history, much older than the United States.
Mm-hmm. It is a completely different world on every level. Anywhere you go, there's culture. There's a deep-seated ancient heritage and tradition that is everywhere you go there. From the market to seeing the import-export that's been happening for thousands of years. I mean, going to even public places, there is traditional values that have been set in place for a very long time that are still very prevalent. And there is a sense of safety because of that, because there's an understanding of tradition there. It's very different from the States, and both have beautiful qualities. Both have beautiful qualities, and I think that a huge part of what I miss about Saudi and what I will never forget about Saudi is the absolute most definite gratitude that I saw and felt from Muslims, for family, for their culture, and the traditional values. It's beautiful. And then the architecture, I mean, just the architecture, looking at the buildings. I mean, everything is art, and it's beautiful. And the textiles and the smells, I mean, it's a different world. Yeah.
Speaking of art, you're an artist.
I am an artist, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your art?
Yes. I have been making art forever. And when I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was professional artist. And that's not usually seen as the best employment option, but somehow it's working. I do large-scale street art murals. I work in aerosol paint, and I work in acrylic paint. I also work with inks, and basically anything that can be considered creative.
And you said that in Saudi Arabia you're surrounded by art all the time. Has that influenced you, or is that what inspired you to become an artist?
That's a really good question, Trevor.
Thanks.
I think not so much the surroundings, but I think the position that I was in as a female in that culture and what surrounds that really influences me. I mean, nearly all of my paintings have women in them. A lot of them have covered faces. A lot of them have almost henna work, which is a traditional, very old sort of hand painting. And eyes. I do a ton of eyes. And in that culture, you are not supposed to make eye contact with people that are not in your family or your partner, if you're a female. But if they are your family or your partner or a loved one, you make direct eye contact. And the funny thing about that is the eyes in that culture hold so much power, because a lot of times that's what you see with the women is just the eyes.
Yeah.
And eyes tell a lot of stories. One of the other misconceptions is that women have no freedom in Saudi Arabia. That women have no freedom and they don't have a voice and that they are just figures walking. I am Saudi and I look like this. And that's where I was born. There is culture. I mean, this is Culture Fest. There is a culture, and within that culture, there are traditions that are followed. And to an outside country, those traditions do not make sense unless you learn about it or become a part of it. But women, like any culture, have a ton of power. Like any culture, women have a ton of power. And my entire bachelor's degree was paid by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I mean, and I'm a woman. And there is the misconception, again, that the traditional wear is a jail. And some women don't like it. Some men don't like it. But a lot of women actually feel safer. And for me personally, whenever I go back to the Middle East, there is a certain anonymous feeling that you have when you are covered. Believe it or not, Arab women are very strong. Arab women are very, very strong, even in their silence. And I grew up around that. And I grew up knowing to be good to your family and to be good to people you call your friends, especially the family aspect. Family is so big. So yeah, I'd say because of the actual surrounding and the influence the surrounding had, it has affected my art a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some essential things about the country? You brought some currency, some dates.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us a little bit about the culture of Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm speaking from my experience personally, and that is an experience of having an American mother as well as being Saudi. So my experience there was a gift because I was able to have both sides. So my experience there also was very, the tradition was there all the time. Dates, I remember being a kid and picking dates off a tree outside. And there's always dates. There's this room called a majlis in houses where it's basically like the gathering area, and there's pillows, and then there's always like pistachios and dates, and then tea. So you always have the mint tea.
So these are tea glasses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're quite cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the mint tea always, or Lipton, which is funny. Love
Yeah.
Lipton. But the Lipton and the mint tea and the dates. This is called Bakhoor, or oud. And this is basically a wood that is soaked in oil that you burn in that on top of hot coals. And you should smell it. It smells really good.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So when it burns, it's this like beautiful aroma. And anytime we would leave the house, the abaya is what the black cover that the women wear.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime we would leave the house, we would burn some oud and lift up our abayas so that we smelled really good when
Oh,
we left
wow.
the house. Yeah. So I still burn that. I love that. Yes, and then money, of course. That's always. Yeah,
The
you
bills
should
are
grab
quite a
some.
bit smaller than,
I don't know. These are old, so
Oh,
I don't
really?
know
Are
if
they old?
I don't know if they've changed. But
could be different now, huh?
yeah. So this is 1 Riyal. They're probably different now.
Yeah. Do you know what the exchange rate is?
I have no idea.
It's okay.
Literally none. And these are probably about 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you grow up speaking Arabic?
It was an English household, but you know, my father spoke Arabic all the time. My mom got pretty fluent. She lived there for 10 plus years. So she was fluent, and to this day, sometimes when she gets upset, she yells in Arabic at us. And so that's the one kind of devastating thing that's happened about being so immersed in American culture is I've lost a lot of that. So I can understand Arabic, but I am not fluent at all. I can get around, but...
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful language. It's a very romantic, beautiful language. Everything in it is so like, you know. You don't just say you're beautiful. It's like, you are the only beautiful person I've ever seen. You know,
wow.
It's like very, yeah, it's very romantic, yeah.
So I'm sure people watching this are seeing, oh, I'm going to meet a Saudi woman, and they're probably maybe expecting someone in traditional dress or some kind, and they see you.
Hello.
So can you tell us a little bit how you went from being born in, oh, you've told us a little bit, but, and tell us about who you are now as someone who is Saudi American, a little bit of your journey from being born in Saudi Arabia to now living in Grand Junction, Colorado, dressing like this awesome punk rock warrior.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, to put it simply. There has been a lot of rebellion against both societies that I grew up in, both Saudi society and definitely American culture. There's been a lot of rebellion. And, you know, I had never experienced racism until 9/11. And there was a very huge misconception about, again, clumping a mass group of people together because of outside sources and outside intel. And that changed a lot. That changed. My sister and I started being harassed, and people were not as loving anymore, and we got threatened a lot. And that, shortly after that, I found punk rock. I tried to do the blending in thing and, you know, put highlights in my hair and wore makeup and all the things that everyone was doing. I was a cheerleader. I mean, I tried.
And you were living in California at that time?
At that time, so my mother, yeah, I guess we should backtrack. My mother moved us. She had never been there before, ever. She moved us from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to Durango, Colorado, for some reason.
Wow.
For fun. For fun.
Where there were probably no Middle Eastern people?
None. Yeah. But it was different. I think as now that I'm much older than that, I can see where the shock factors happened in such a big transition. But, you know, it was all love. It was all love, and it was a different environment. And then, you know, I went to high school in Durango, and it was just, things had changed a lot. 9/11 changed a lot for me. And shortly after that, I found punk rock and was like, this isn't me. I'm not a cheerleader. I don't want to be whitewashed. I am my own person and my own culture, and I am a strong female. And so punk kind of skyrocketed me into the opposite direction. I cut all my hair off and dyed it pink and, played in a band for a long time. And then I moved to California when I was 17.
So you felt in the world of punk rock there was room for people of color?
I felt that there was a vibration happening underneath the surface of everything else where freaks, geeks, nerds, battered people, beautiful losers. Beautiful losers could go and be just beautiful without the loser. And that includes color, that includes sex, that includes gender affiliations, sex affiliations. I mean, there's a space for people to just be beautiful and angry. And we need angry, but politically okay, anger.
We're going to jump around in topics here. Would you like to teach us any Arabic, any phrases or words?
Yeah, I mean, we could do the basic one, which is, if I say salam alaikum.
I say wa alaikum salam.
Hey, that's awesome, dude. I was not expecting that. That's awesome. Exactly. Yeah, and then, here people say peace out, and there it's like salam or,
Yeah. And all that means is?
Peace be with you, peace be unto you, and then it's vice versa.
And unto you be peace,
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing to remember because you might hear a Muslim person saying Assalamu alaikum and just think that's something Muslims say. But they're literally saying, I wish you peace.
Peace be unto you.
Peace be unto you, just like a Jewish person saying shalom. It's a wonderful thing. Beautiful.
And that is an immediate greeting and an immediate exit is peace be unto you. Okay, we could learn shukran.
Shukran.
Which is thank you.
Shukran.
And then afwan,
Afwan.
which is you're welcome.
Shukran. Afwan.
You're good.
Thanks.
You got that roll. That's good.
Thanks. It's neat to be able to learn a little bit.
I know. I wish I knew more.
Will you talk a little bit about what it feels like to live here specifically in Mesa County Libraries, why you chose this as a home and how it feels as a home for you?
Grand Junction was a bit of a coincidence. Some stars in life aligned and brought me here. I left California. I moved there when I was 17 and left Oakland, California when I was 25 or 26 and sort of moved all over Colorado. And I just kind of ended up here. And I immediately tapped into the art scene here. There is a great art scene here. There's a great, again, a vibration of people. And it's challenging. It's challenging. I went from being a minority to not being a minority in California at all. And then back to being very much so a minority in a time and a space in the world where no one is colorblind. No one is colorblind. And this is a good community because it's a community that wants to have conversations. It's a community that wants to understand culture. It's a community that wants to bring everyone together in culture. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So
we call this event Culture Fest. What does the word culture mean to you?
Believe it or not, as I get older, that word gets even heavier. I think culture is multidimensional. I think culture can be your blood, your actual family tree and your bloodline and what makes you you. And what makes you have pride in being you. And it also is tradition. traditional values. It's for me personally, culture is when people are being absolutely authentically themselves. But it's getting to be a heavy word. But my culture for this particular situation is Saudi American.
And you told me you are a dual citizen, right?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saudi and United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you were to go back to visit your family today, once you got there, you would change your clothes?
100%.
Would you like to show us what your clothes would look like?
I would
once you
love
changed?
to.
All right. You look a little different.
I do, yeah.
So if you were to visit Saudi Arabia right now, this is what you would wear in public?
Not this exactly. I couldn't find my traditional Saudi abaya, which actually buttons. But this will do. And basically, yes, my hair would be covered. My clothing would be covered. And because I'm tattooed, out of respect, I would be wearing gloves. And it's not policy, it's not a must that you do it, but a lot of women do prefer actually to cover most of their face.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is this called?
So the traditional one I would be wearing would be an abaya, and then there's the hijab, and then there's the burqa. Yeah, but hijabs a lot of times you can take part of and move over your face. But this is burqa, hijab, and then there's the abaya.
And tell us about the adornment that's on it.
So actually, a lot of the abayas would have this incredible details and patterns, just beautiful details and patterns. They have just plain black ones, but a lot of wealthier women would just have incredible detailed wear. I mean, and in each country it's different. In Iran, it's totally different. In Iraq, it's totally different. I mean, even visiting Istanbul, it's different. I just covered my hair in Istanbul. So, but in Saudi, it's pretty much this. Yeah.
And did you wear something like this growing up there as a child?
Yes. Yes. So when you hit a certain age, just like any culture, as a female, there are certain transitions that you make. And one of the transitions is once you reach a certain age and stage in your life, you start covering because you're considered not a child anymore. Yeah. So
tell us what this means to you. Tell us why you want to put on traditional garb here for this. We've seen you in your very American Western style clothing. You're tattooed and you're wearing this today. Can you tell us what it means to you, why it means something to you to wear this today?
We have to smash all of the misconceptions about Arab culture. I mean, and if I can do that just with 3 people, I've done something. And part of that is a lot of people think this is a jail. This is a jail. I have the exact same clothes on. I have the exact same clothes on underneath this. And people don't know. Some of the women wear beautiful, extravagant dresses underneath there. Some women might be in little shorts, you know, and it's almost like a safety blanket. Because if there's a hallway full of people that look exactly like this, no one really stands out. No one stands out. It's just one wave of people. And I think a lot of that is safety. And I think changing the conception of this being a jail versus safety and part of a tradition is very important.
Well, thank you very much
Thanks, Trevor.
Mesa County is very happy to have you here, a Saudi person. We want more diversity in our community. And we love that we get to celebrate it here at Mesa County Libraries. And we're really glad that you want to be a part of neat things that we get to do here.
The neatest of things. And I am so honored to be a part of this, and I hope that if anything, this will spark people wanting to learn more about the Middle East and the rich culture there.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for watching our interview with local mural artist Danya Aletebi, who was born in Saudi Arabia. Learn more about her culture and lots of other cultures in our other Culture Fest videos. Thanks.
Thank you.